All right, that's enough of that right there. I appreciate the super chat from Naima Buckland. Appreciate that so far. Shout out to everybody for joining us. Shout out to the Dime Game Division. You know, shout out to the moderators, man. You know, y'all always do a good job. And you know, right now we got a real special guest.
You're bored a little bit.
I'm bogging?
Yeah, your stuff kind of sounded a little bit grovelly. Now it doesn't, but it did before.
Yeah, how I sound now?
Better? Yeah, I'll let you know if it does it again.
All right, yeah. Sometimes I have trouble with StreamYards when it first starts, and then over time, I guess once we warm up a little bit, you know what I mean? But we good. Yo, but like I was saying, shout out to the moderators. Shout out to everybody, man. We got a real special guest in here right now, the one and only Cynthia G. You dig? And we're gonna have some real good dialogue. And all right, people in the chat room see my sound a little bit better. So y'all just monitor that for me,
Yeah.
and I'll make the adjustments as we go. But anyway, we're gonna have a conversation about black women choosing the wrong men. You know, I think it's something pretty good to debate about. And also, we're going to talk about what a good man actually is. Cynthia G is going to give her perspective. She's a woman. Um, and it's always good to have women on panels. I don't really understand how it's always a bunch of men. It could be 7, 8, 9 men sitting around talking about what women want, how women see the world. You dig why women make certain decisions when you can bring the women on from time to time. And if you get the right crop and the right group of women, they'll be honest. I mean, they'll be honest. So this all I want here today is to have some honest dialogue about a few things. And yeah. So anyway, Cynthia G, go ahead and introduce yourself to my audience. I'm pretty sure most of them know you, but just in case they don't know you, go ahead.
Just in case they don't know, I'm, like Boogie said, Cynthia G. Um, I'm known, I think, for obviously breaking down the psychology of dusties, which I won't get into, but I like to look at stuff from a psychological perspective. The title is interesting because I don't know if you know, Boogie, but I just did a discussion on my channel. Actually, I think the beginning of this week, I did a discussion on my channel breaking down what a good man was, based on the notion that every time we see a certain circumstance come up that involves a woman who has an issue with a man, she's told that she didn't choose right, that she, picked the wrong man. There's never a situation where it's like, okay, well, this man was wrong. It always goes to, well, she should have chose better. So I kind of wanted to get to the bottom of what men thought was a good man. And it was interesting. It was actually really interesting that a lot of men who called into my show couldn't even describe what a good man was. But I know for sure they were some of the same ones who would tell a woman she needs to choose better. So I think this is definitely something to be discussed about. What is a good man? Are Black women specifically, because I don't hear this language being directed towards anyone else. We never hear any group other race of woman should choose better, especially if she's dealing with a Black man, even if she has a bad experience. She's never told to choose better, which I think is interesting in and of itself. But I think this is something that should be discussed. Are we intentionally looking over the quote unquote good guys and going for the thugs? Or is it that there isn't any real set standard of what a good man is within our community? And is it such a deficit of good men that there's only a certain type of men that Black women are able to choose from?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So let's just go ahead and dive right into it. You know what I'm saying? And for everybody that's in the chat, what I'll do is once me and Cynthia finish with our dialogue, we'll take some questions. And I'm not going to let anybody on the panel, but y'all can, super chat y'all questions to Cynthia. And we all know she don't mind answering y'all questions. So, all right, let's get into it. So what's up, Cynthia? Do black women on average choose the wrong men? Yes or no? And if yes or no, explain why.
I think that Black women on average are only able to choose from the pool of men that we have within our community, especially given that most Black women are interested in exclusively dating Black men. So if we look at the pool that they have to choose from, are they, I mean, I guess you can say they're intentionally picking because they're picking from what's already here, but are they looking at men and comparing them the same way they would compare apples in a store and say, well, I want this man even though he has moldy, rotted nastiness on top of him? No, I don't think they're doing that. Men have a tendency of sending in their representative. They don't really show who they are. They show who they think you want them to be. And then it comes out later on within the process of dealing with them. You start seeing the real character, to the degree that some women will say, well, now he's a different person. No, he's just showing you the real him. And so you can only you can only pick, number one, what's there, and number two, with the information that's shown to you. So if you have men who by and large are not going to show who they really are, they're lying, they're deceiving, they're showing a fake representative, then yeah, you can choose that fake representative, but you're not able to choose based on the honest truth of who he really is.
No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. And do you think, because this is one of the arguments that we hear a lot, and I'll let you know what I think about it after you answer it. But do you think, by and large, that Black women have a particular type, aesthetically, physically, you know what I'm saying, personality wise? Do you think on average?
I think women have a certain type on average, because if you look at what women like in every different group, some people just call them a bad boy. Some people will say they like a man that's rough around the edges. Apparently, in our community, we call them thugs and pookies and ray-rays. But like, for example, I was watching the old show Charmed. This was in the 90s, full white people. And they were criticizing one of their sisters for liking the bad boy. Now, that would be the equivalent of the thug in our community, or the pookie and ray-ray. So I think women in general are attracted to a certain type of man. And it's a certain type of man that's exuding masculinity. He does seem like a risk taker because he appears to be interesting. So I think that all of those traits tend to translate into masculinity. He's going to be a good protector. He's going to keep me safe from harm. So they're looking at these certain traits that are translating to something for them. So I don't think that this is just Black women who's attracted to it. I think it's women in general.
Oh yeah, thanks for all the super chat, guys. Appreciate it, Nicole. Shout out to you, Tyrell Nash. Salute, my brother. Now here's the way I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at any, because we all know the condition that Black America is in economically. I'm talking about as a group of men. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the men that are doing well for themselves, which are really in small numbers. I'm talking about as a group, black men in this country historically. If you really take a look at groups of people that are economically oppressed around the world, you'll see the kind of men that the women choose on average. Like, for instance, I lived in El Paso, Texas for 5 years, and we used to frequently go down to Juarez, Mexico, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this was around, when I first got down there, it was around 2005, 2006. But this was like before it was like freaking 500 murders in like 2 months around 2008. But still, it was a lot of crime, a lot of drugs, a lot of gang activity, a lot of cartel activity down there. And we used to go down there a lot. And the kind of men that they would choose, they would be the Pookies and Ray Rays of Mexican culture because of the environment that they lived in. Like, real talk.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Real talk. They would be the more roughnecks. They would have the tattoos on their head. They would have the tattoos on their back. They would be wearing bandanas. You see what I'm saying? They would be walking around with guns right on their hip because of that environment. That's the way the men had to really carry it. You see what I'm saying? Even when I was in Iraq, it would be Al Qaeda. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get too deep off into this, but because of the environment that it was over there, it would be the thugs of Iraqi culture. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now they didn't have tattoos on them. They didn't speak with slang, but at the same time, they'll blow your head off at the drop of a dime. So usually it's like that for people in economic stricken areas and shit like that. The women going to choose the men that they perceive is going to protect them the most. Now, a lot of times, shout out to Tony Maceo, what happens is the men can't protect themselves from themselves. You see what I'm saying? So then you got cases of abuse, cases of neglect, cases of dudes taking it too far with the little bit of power they do have within a relationship. But at the same time, I've seen this all over the world and shit like that. So, I think that level of aggression that you was talking about, when you said rough around the edges and uh, dudes that exude a more hyper masculine kind of demeanor from time to time. I think when you're talking about in urban environments, then yeah, that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? Straight up and down. You dig? So, I think we agree on that for the most part. Now, physically, let's start that physically. Do you think black women, opposed to any other race of women, are more attractive to physically and aesthetically pleasing men? First, before anything else.
I think that they are, and why wouldn't they be? Especially if you look at our situation where black women basically in a lot of situations have to play the role of a man. We've never in our community been able to have dynamics where we have the traditional gender role. By and large, we've never been able to do that because of black men's position in society. So if black women wanted to have a traditional role of a stay-at-home woman, while the man has his traditional role, he's the provider, she couldn't do that. So I think that since we're in a situation now where women have to provide their own income to take care of themselves, we have to protect ourselves, we have to play the role of the man and the woman because the men are at a deficit, then yeah, now we get to choose based on what we're attracted to because we don't need them and can't rely on them for anything else. And I think that when we were in a time where, and I say this loosely because this wasn't our community, so I'll say hypothetically, if we were in a situation where we needed black men to provide for us and to protect us and to fulfill the traditional role of the man, and they were able to do that, and we didn't have the ability to do things on our own, we weren't forced into that position, then I think it would be different. Then they would be choosing based on who could be the best provider, and then looks would go away. Then they wouldn't care about how this man looked because it's like, I need him for other things. But since she has to play that role on her own, she doesn't need him for money. She doesn't need him as a protector because they can't even protect themselves. So what do I need him for? If I'm going to go towards a man who's just going to be a companion, then yeah, I'm going to go by who I'm physically attracted to. Why wouldn't I? First and foremost is going to be a physical attractiveness because it's not going to be his money or his ability to provide or protect.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, Kiss Me Katie, if you want Cynthia G to really answer that question, then you'll put it in a super chat. $20, $30 super chat to be exact. Because you keep asking it and nobody's saying anything.
Right, and that's actually not what I said. But if she wants me to address that, yeah, you need to super chat that, especially if you're going to put words in my mouth. Otherwise, I'm not going to even acknowledge it. But so yeah, I think because of our positioning, the fact that it's not traditional. See, because other groups of women, they have the option of having traditional relationships. We know that white women pursued feminism. They wanted to be on equal footing as men. We were already on equal footing as men since we came to this country. So we didn't need to we didn't need to start a movement to say, I want to work like a man. I want to do these things like a man, because we were already doing it. So other women, they have the ability, if they want to, because of the way that society is set up for their men, they can be in traditional roles if they want to. And largely, a lot of them are. A lot of them do opt to be in traditional roles. We don't have that option because a 50-50 role is really a 70-30 or 80-20 role, meaning 80 is the woman is carrying and 20 is what the man is carrying, because he's only, chances are, going to fulfill the half of the financial burden, but she still has to raise the children, cook, clean, do all of the duties of a woman, and bring in half of the income. So it's not even a 50-50 situation. We're carrying most of the burden. And I think that a lot of women in our community understand that we're carrying most of the burden. So they're like, well, if I'm going to pick a man, then I'm going by my attraction level. Why would I pick a less attractive man who he doesn't really vibe with me? He have no conversational skills. Why would I pick him when I have the option of picking someone who is interesting and who is attractive? Because I'm going to have to carry the burden in the relationship anyways. And most black women are doing that, whether they are married or single. They are carrying most of the burden in the relationship.
Okay, okay, that's a good answer. Now, I would have to say I agree. I would have to say that of my experiences, I think black women are very looks conscious, but white women are too. Hispanic women are too, and that's where I offer pushback to a lot of the dudes because a lot of the dudes can only see the world through a certain pair of lenses. I'm like, dog, the same women, excuse me, the same men rather that black men find sexually attractive are the same men that white women find sexually attractive. Are the same men Hispanic women find sexually attractive. You see what I'm saying? Who you think more white women are going to be lined up outside of the NFL draft or a tech convention?
My
Like, like
we
for real.
we already know, and we know this. We already know this, and even if that wasn't the case, the bottom line of it is white women and Hispanic women experience the same thing from black men that black women do. So I think that if they were getting, even if they were choosing different types of men or whatever, which they're choosing the same, even if they were choosing differently, they would still be getting the same result because largely they still get the same result as black women do. So I don't really think that I don't think it's an issue of attraction and whether a man is unattractive or attractive because a lot of the non-select, let's just be real, ugly, boring dudes who think they're good men, they're not good men. And you can tell based on their ideologies, based on their mindset, based on how they judge other men, based on how they judge women, based on the positioning that they think women should be in. They're not good men. They only think that they're good men because there's some stigma to where attractive men are somehow bad men. And really, attractive women do too. It's just the reverse. Attractive women are seen as having worse attitudes. They're seen as being more promiscuous, less trustworthy, more inclined to cheat on you. The same thing is with an attractive man. So attractive people in general have some type of stigma on them. But then you have these group of ugly non-select dudes who think that because they're ugly and non-select, that somehow that makes them a good dude. It's like, no, you're not a good dude. I can tell you 99.9%, if not 100% of the ugly dudes who are in these social circles thinking they're a good guy are trash. And I've listened to them and I can tell you they're trash. They're worse than these so-called.
Well, why you say they trash? Why you say they trash? Give me some
because their mentality is trash. Their ideology is trash. The position, they think that women should be in a position of servitude. They're not running around not having multiple children by multiple women because they think it's an issue of morality. They're not doing it because they can't. They don't have the option to do it. But really, if they had the option to do it, they would be doing it, and they would be causing much more drama. They would be leaving babies scattered all over the place. You know, they don't want to pay child support. That's their biggest issue. So they wouldn't be taking care of their children. They wouldn't be committing because apparently they think that they should be pumping and dumping all over the place. So they would be the same, if not worse, as the men that they're criticizing based on their ideology. Yet they run around talking about they have a six-figure job or they're men of means, and it's like you're not. Even if you were, having money doesn't make you a good man. That's not what a man is.
Oh, okay, let me stop you right there, Cynthia. Now you say having money doesn't make you a good man. Now, how would you answer the question to this argument? Well, Cynthia G, it really don't matter what you think because you don't even qualify for a high value man. Go.
I would tell them to describe what a high value man is then.
Well, a man that makes, what I mean, here's just what I'm hearing. A man that makes over 10 grand a month. You know what I'm saying? A man with resources. You dig? A man that graduated college, particularly from a major university. A man that would be more than likely in the corporate world. At least that's what I'm hearing.
But I've had men like that though. So I mean, people say whatever they want to say. They can. How do they know I don't have a man like that now? Like, so my thing of it is I guess to respond to that, I would say, how do you know I don't currently have that? Because nobody knows what's going on in my personal life. I don't sit up and talk about.
Somebody in the chat room just said that that you live in poverty.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll let them think whatever they want to think.
Okay. I'm just fucking around with you, but yeah,
I'll say this:
that would be.
I can guarantee you, I have more money and I'm living better than the person who said that. I can guarantee.
But that is one of the arguments, though. Like, okay, why would we even give a damn about what Cynthia says, thinks, or her opinion on anything? Because she wouldn't qualify for that kind of man. And you say, hold on, because I want to get it on record, Miss. But you say, I can, and those kind of guys come at me all the time. Now, do those guys come at you for sex, or do they come at you for things long term, or all of the above?
What a man comes at me for doesn't matter. It matters what I am looking for out of him.
But that's not the question. What I'm saying is because the rebuttal to what I just said would be, okay, high value men would come down and try to fuck you, but they're never going to marry you.
I don't get any man who just approaches me for sex. I've never had a man, regardless to whether he was high value or low value. I've never had any man approach me just for sex, ever. Not one time. I've never been anybody's hit or quit. If anything, it's always me trying to get rid of them. I mean, so if that's somebody's lifestyle, it's a lifestyle I can't relate to. I mean, I don't know. I'll let you know in a month if that's happened or not.
Yeah, keep me posted. You got my email. So,
keep posted.
Indeed. Okay, so good men. Now, I agree. Just because you are just because you're making X amount of dollars doesn't mean you have good character. Doesn't mean that you would be a good head of household. It doesn't mean that you would be a good father. You see what I'm saying? Those things are, just two different categories and shit like that. You see what I'm saying? A man that works at UPS or the post office that's making, 70 grand a year, he could be an outstanding father. You see what I'm saying? He can have all the characteristics that says, you know what, he has what it takes to lead. But
wait, what's wrong with 70K a year? Most of these dusties running around ain't making 70K a year. They're not.
No. That's a fact. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with 70K, but what I'm saying is a lot of the more high post brothers, I definitely rant into that a lot of them think strictly because they bring in the money, that translate into character, that translate into being a good father of children. And I'm here to say, no, it doesn't. You see what I'm saying?
So let me ask you something. When they say these high value men, are they measuring them on high monetary value, or what are they measuring him on? Because it kind of sounds like they're just saying, well, you can't attract a man that makes X amount of money. It kind of seems like they're, and if that's the case, I can show you better than I can tell you. So I can show you better than I can tell you.
Now you're speaking my language because I like receipts, but go ahead.
Yeah, I can show you better than I can tell you. If you're talking about a man just having money, because I attract now, I'll tell you, I haven't met a lot of high value black men, high money value black men, because most black men don't have a lot of money. So have I met men, but I've met black men who have, but I've met more men that weren't black who had a lot of money. If we're basing the value, their high valueness on money, because it doesn't seem like in terms of character, it doesn't seem like these men know what a high value man is in terms of character. But if it's going by money, please. It's not hard to find a man. It's hard to find a black man. It's not hard to find a man with money, though.
Okay, well, peep game. It's like this. Let's say a black man. Thanks for the super chat, Amazi. Let's say a black man, a white man, and an Asian man walked into a black strip club simultaneously. You know what I'm saying? At that moment, and I've seen this with my own two eyes. At that moment, all of the strippers. Oh, hold on. Let me describe the scene. So a black man went in there. He had on some Jordans, some blue jeans, a t-shirt, a fitted cap, and his chain out. White man came in there in his Dockers polo shirt and some loafers. Asian man came in there with
Looking
some
Asian. You already know Asians look dorky, so it is what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah,
Looking
just whatever.
dorky.
But he just came in there dressing very similar to the white guy. At
Mm.
that moment, the strippers are going to congregate amongst each other, and what they're going to do is they're going to surround the white guy and
Of
they're going to
course.
surround the Asian guy because they know that's
Mhm.
money.
That's
Money is
what I would do if I was in that situation. Anything that involves money, I'm not. My first inclination is not going to be to gravitate towards a black man. It's going to be to gravitate towards white or Asian because they have more money generally than black men do.
so like what I'm saying is even even in settings like the strip club, women understand what money is.
Hmm.
Even if you talk to women that sell pussy, they'll even tell you, and this is true confessions, that I would rather deal with white men or men of other races because, for one, they're not going to degrade me. You see what I'm
Hmm.
saying? They're not going to talk about me. They're not going to come in here with discounts. You know what I mean? If I charge 200 for an hour, they're not going to come with 85 in a fucking coupon. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They're not going to come with $95 in a food stamp card. You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. And even if you go back to, what was that? Backpage, right? Even if you
Hmm.
go to Backpage, that was a popular thing on Backpage where not just black women, but a bunch of women on there was like, no black men allowed. We're talking about
Hmm.
huge signs. We're talking about big boy signs like this, no black men allowed, because they understand what that comes with. You know what I mean? And I'm here to say that that's a lot of truth in that shit. A lot of niggas, they ride women very hard, ride them like dirt bikes and shit. You talking
Hmm.
about even women that chose the profession of stripping or even selling pussy. You see what I'm saying? They can't just get that service and leave. They got to get the service and still degrade the girl.
Hmm.
They still make her feel like shit. So there's still a sexual hierarchy um, in terms of white men, everybody else, and black men. But I think where black men was able to circumvent a lot of the bullshit was because of the aesthetics, because of the genetics. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I've seen this played out on many different levels, on many different stages and shit. You dig? But anyway, we're gonna move on. Yeah, I think Cindy had to step out for a second, but we're gonna keep the conversation going.
Yeah, I wanted to add this because I'll tell
Now,
you
go ahead.
during my days, and I've talked about it during my days when I was just finding these quote unquote high value men to sponsor my life financially. I'll tell you during that time, it's anything that has to do with money, you just know that number one, a black man isn't the one that you're going to go to. Other races of men are more generous with their money, and they're more likely to give you large amounts of money without getting anything in return, and that's just not how black men are. So if you and you don't have to deal with a lot of the drama around it if it's a short-term situation. You don't have to deal with the psychological baggage because of the fact that you have a society that's catered to white men and white Asians as well. You have society that caters to them. It doesn't cater to black men. So black men's self-esteem and psychology, it's different than white male psychology. And it's like they like to speak to how white men perceive black women, but they don't really have much of an idea of how white men navigate with black women, except for whatever they see on blogs or whatever stereotypical notions that they have in their mindset. But I'll say it's likely to be easier for a black woman to get money out of a white man than it would be for her to get it out of a black man. One, because he's more likely to have it, and two, because he doesn't they don't feel like they need to keep hold of money the way that black men do. They have it to spend. That's why I say when you have um, these dudes running around here saying that black women are gold diggers because they want them to be a provider, that's broke, dusty logic. Because men who have the means to be a provider or to get what they want from women with money, they don't care about money. They don't complain about it. They just give it because they have it. Most men are, if money is becoming in between them and what they want, and if they have the money, they're going to spend it very easily. A man is not going to let money come in between him and a woman that he wants. He's not going to do that. He's just going to part ways with his money because he has it. And a lot of Black men don't have it. And even if they do have it, they won't have it for long, or they don't feel like they're going to have it for long. So they'll hold on to their money, and they have more of a disrespect and disdain for Black women. So that's why I think it's different when Black women is dealing with a different race of men, because sometimes Black men show and exhibit more disdain for Black women than other races of men do.
Now, do you think that Black men are more likely to pay or provide for another race of women quicker than Black women?
Yeah,
do you think that's the case?
yeah, absolutely. Because
And what's the psychology behind that?
Well, the thing of it is, number one, is because he thinks those people are better than himself. Because here's the thing. You can't think, for example, that a white woman is better than a Black woman without thinking that a white woman and a white man is better than a Black man, because it took that white man and that white woman to produce whatever white woman or white man you're dealing with. So number one is because he thinks they're better than himself. So of course he's going to think that that the white mate or whatever race, because I mean Latina is still white. They're not going out here picking Black Latinas. So there's still, whatever the perception of her race is, to the extent that it deviates from Blackness, he's going to appreciate that and view that as better and more deserving than a Black woman. Black men don't believe that Black women deserve to be taken care of. They don't think that Black women are deserving of being spoiled or wined and dined. They don't think that we deserve that. Furthermore, Black women don't create competition for Black men. So Black men don't have to compete with any other race of man to get with a Black woman. But if he's in a relationship with a white woman, for example, he knows that she has the option of going to a white man. So now either subconsciously or consciously, he has to compete with that white woman, with that white man, because he knows that at any point in time, that white woman can leave, go get a white man, and likely have a different and better experience than she's having with that Black man, because he has the ability to provide more. He has more freedoms in society than a Black man does. So I think, yes, he is more inclined to do so for a number of different reasons. The most primary being is that the value that he places on Black women is very low, because he places a low value on himself, and he doesn't think that Black women is deserving, whereas he thinks that other races of women are far more deserving.
Okay, fair enough. Have you ever been proposed to by a Black man?
I talked about being engaged to be married.
Oh, I mean, like, I'm not familiar with a lot of your content.
Oh, so. Yeah. I was engaged to be married, and I chose not to get married because that man, again, a representative versus the real them. I took time. I lived with him. I got to know him, and I saw a lot of traits. Basically, he embodied everything that I don't like, but it took time.
Oh, he was a Dusty.
Huh?
Oh, he was a Dusty.
Basically, I found out how dusty he was, and it was mostly in his mentality, more so than anything else. It wasn't so much dusty. It was very insecure, very emotionally.
But you know, water seek its own level, son. I mean, what's up with that?
Well, you gotta explain what you mean by that. You gotta explain to me what you mean like
water seek its own level. Like, you know how they say you are what you attract.
I think to a certain extent that may be the case, but no, I think some people. No, I don't think that that's absolutes, but. Every woman that you've attracted, you think that you are every woman that you've attracted?
Absolutely not. But there were times in my life where, let's just say, I wasn't living right, and I was attracting ratchet hoes. You see what I'm saying? Because that's the kind of energy I put out there. You dig what I'm saying? Let's say that I'm in tip-top shape. Let's say I've been working out twice a day. Let's say, you know, I've been eating right. You know what I mean? I've been living fairly healthy. this is when I attract the higher caliber of women and shit. So, you know, it's not absolute. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's definitely not absolute,
Right, but that's but
but there
that's
is a slither of truth in that too, though.
right, but that's based on looks though. Where was your mentality at though? Because it's one thing, of course, if you're out of shape, you would then attract out of shape people, which that's not even mostly true. But what about mentality wise? Do you think that, because I don't think that when they say, I guess you are what you attract, I don't think that they're meaning that physically. I think they mean it emotionally and mentally. This
Yeah.
person exhibits traits that are what you exhibit, or they have the brokenness that you have, the brokenness, you have that same brokenness, and they're going to mirror your brokenness. I think that's more of what they mean on an emotional, psychological level rather than a physical one. So do you think they embodied the characteristics that you had, the traits that you had?
Well, I said there were times in my life where, you know, I wasn't living right, and I noticed I was attracting a lot more ratchet hoes than usual. You see what I'm saying? But when you out when you out here, you living fast and you ain't living right. Obviously, you in different circles too. You know what I'm saying? You in different neighborhoods at this time. You know what I mean? So you know, all of it plays a part in that. But you said that you have been proposed to and you were engaged to a black man, and but he ended up you know, pretty much showing you who he really was. Now, did that put a stain on your brain? Like, did that keep you from wanting to get engaged again? Did that keep you from wanting to be married? How did that affect you in the long run? And thanks for all the super chats as well, Daisy and T Mac, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Well, I'm not opposed to being married now. I think I just look at marriage as a logical contractual agreement that should be pursued with caution. I look at, because I tend to look at things more logically than emotionally anyway. That's just the natural way that I see things, is to analyze it. And based on the marriage data, it's not financially and otherwise, especially if you're marrying a black man, it's not the best contractual business, because the marriage is a business. It wouldn't be the best contractual business decision to make. Now, if I was the type
Why?
that,
Why is that? Why is that?
because
Because
of
of our
course,
position economically in this country?
yes, because based
Okay.
on data, it's more financially risky for a black woman to marry a black man than it is for a black man to marry a black woman, because black women are in a better economic position than black men are. So all sources of data says that if you are marrying a black man, you are more likely to be chained to poverty than you are to transcend it. And so it would have to be a strategic move on my part. I'm not going to just get married just because in the black community they think marriage is the end all be all. No, I don't operate like that. Anything that has to do with a huge impact on my life, my finances, my quality of life, I'm going to be looking into that, especially considering it's a contractual arrangement. Then I'm going to look at that logically. I'm not going to look at it as an emotional thing. And based on the data, it's not a good decision for black women to marry black men economically. It's not.
What about what would be the number one reason you would consider marriage? Is that the raising of children? Is that to build and combine two?
The reason I would,
Yeah.
because I like the potential stability
Mhm.
that it brings, the long term companionship. Of course, wanting someone that you can build with. There's going to be a life partner that when you get older. You just want that one person that you mesh well with. That's your life partner. So I would look at it that way. If I get married, I only want to get married once. I don't want to bounce in between divorces and remarriages. I don't want to do that. If I'm getting married, I want it to be a good business decision. I want it to be a good emotional decision. And I want this person to be my life partner where I'm not going to take too many losses, basically. If I would have to do a cost benefit analysis on it, basically. How is this
See,
going?
but that's the thing. Hold on. Let me jump in here. And thanks for the super chat perception. He said it's funny you said that because I've seen a lot of black men lose their house in a marriage Chick get his retirement. I don't know. Maybe it's the men. I know. But check it out. Um,
Yeah, because that's an exception to the rule. Black women don't financially benefit from marriage, so I don't
all
know.
right.
You can
Okay.
have
Let me get up in here for a second. Now, see, that's where I gotta disagree because it's almost like you want the closest thing to a guarantee if you decide to be married, and that's just one thing you're not gonna get. You see what I'm saying? Excuse me. You can't decide to get married. Let's say you was 30 years old for conversational purposes. You know, you can't marry anybody at 30 years old and know what's going to happen when y'all turn 50. Excuse me, I got acid reflux. Or when y'all turn 55. See, the way I view marriage is, man, that's something that you got to work hard at every day. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about the work, the energy, the sacrifice that come with that is it's tough. Now I understand certain situations get so toxic that you got no choice but to let it go. Because you could be living in a house, it could be husband, wife, children, and the relationship between y'all is so fucked up, it's so toxic that it's better off for y'all to be in separate domains. I got that. But at the end of the day, ain't no guarantee in that shit, man. You see what I'm saying? So whether you do a cost benefit analysis, whether you put that shit on the scales 1,000 times, you don't know what's going to come down the pike 10 years later, man.
Wouldn't you put it on the scales though? Like, wouldn't the marriage have to be beneficial to you in some way for you to enter into it? Because you're not going to tell me that this is a contract that you're bound to and that you're going to have to pay to get out of, and you're not approaching this marriage of how is this going to be beneficial to me? How is this going to enhance my life and my overall psychological well-being? If someone isn't thinking about those things, then they're not making a smart decision.
Yo, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is, what is the limit to what you put on the scale? You know what I mean? When does it end? Because me, I'm gonna think about things through and through. Don't get me wrong. I would approach everything with caution, but there's a difference between caution and paranoia. Like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's a major. You probably heard that before. That's a major difference between caution and paranoia. So at the end of the day, a lot of people can get out of the realm of cautiousness, and then now it turns into fear. Quick plug for the book. Y'all pick that up. Moderators, drop the link to the book. It can turn into fear and or paranoia. And I think that's what a lot of people have. If you look at a lot of these red pill spaces and all that type of shit, dog, if you break that shit down, that shit ain't nothing but fear. And even if it's not fear of the woman herself, it's fear that you're going to lose out. You see what I'm saying? It's fear that, whether it's, houses, money, property, cars, whatever it is that man got, half of his retirement, that ain't nothing but fear. You dig? But for me, on a personal level, I'm gonna tie up my camel. Hold on. I'm gonna tie up my camel, you know what I mean? Because people do steal. But at the same time, I still go into situations thinking what's the best that can happen too. And I don't hear a lot of people even having that conversation, men or women, that's going into situations saying, you know what, I made a decision and I understand that this can actually turn out in my favor. So motherfuckers be going into shit with fucked up energy. Motherfuckers be going into that shit with energy where they gotta sleep with one eye open and shit. How the fuck you gonna be fully free and vulnerable around somebody that you call your quote unquote life partner when you can't even be vulnerable enough around them to even think for 1 second that this could actually work in my favor? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, then that wouldn't be a person that you should marry, right? If you're going into it already with all of those concerns and issues, because there are legal ways that you can protect your finances. You can do a prenuptial agreement or whatever. You can even do post-nuptial agreements. So
Right.
you can go to protect your finances, but seldom do people approach marriages or relationships in general and figure that they want to find a way to protect their psychological well-being, that they need to protect their emotional state, because a lot of people come away from marriages very bitter because they
Fucked up,
didn't
yeah.
they didn't protect their psychological or emotional well-being. So I think that it needs to be a cautious decision regardless to whether you're looking at it financially, psychologically, or emotionally.
Right. Yeah. So like that's my whole thing about that is I think surrounding marriage, man, it's a lot of fear. And look, don't get me wrong. I understand it. I get it. You dig what I'm saying? And I'm not downplaying or trying to belittle that shit. But damn, going into it, motherfuckers is like, oh, what if this happened? What if this happened? Dog, I feel like if you have that mentality before you even get into it, don't even do this shit. Don't even fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? Until you reach a place in your life where you can just be free and be at ease. My thing is, don't even do that shit, man. You know what I mean? Because you're already going into it so cautious. Yo, it's like this. You know what I'm saying? Because I watch a lot of sports. And let me give you a quick analogy. A lot of times when players get injured, they get injured when they overly cautious on the field. You know what I'm saying? Instead of going out there and playing the game at maximum, like they've been playing the game all their life. But the moment they get overly cautious, the moment they try to avoid a injury, this is usually when they get injured and shit. You see what I'm saying? Because they live in too much in their mind. So for me, it's a certain kind of freeness that you got to go into a situation like marriage. There's a certain kind of um, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. So I just think a lot of people are in bondage to their own fears. A lot of people are in bondage to things that they observed around it. And it's like, well, how the fuck you know that's gonna happen to you? See, a lot of motherfuckers sit online and they pull up all these articles about, you know what I'm saying, some couple that was in the back of a trailer home and they almost killed each other and then they got a divorce. And I'm like, look, I know people that got successful marriages. I know people that got fucked up marriages. I know marriages that ended and nobody got anything. I know marriages that ended where the female made up with a little something. I know marriages that ended up where the man came out with a little something. What I'm saying is, I seen the balance in it all, dog. I seen the balance. Period. Motherfuckers act like in marriages, the man is the only thing that sacrifices anything. And I'm here to say that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? That's bullshit. Because at the end of the day, let me give y'all a quick story. I have an aunt, right? I have an aunt that was a good wife, God fearing, all that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so good that I'm her nephew. She wouldn't even let me into the house when her uncle wasn't there. Like real talk. Like when her husband wasn't there, I'm like, bitch, I'm your fucking nephew. But that's how she be rolling. And I'm dead serious. Like she's real traditional to the T. And I'm like, God damn. Very submissive. Don't mind playing her position. But at the end of the fucking day, as they got older in life, and I believe she was in her 50s, they ended up getting a divorce, right? Was what it was. But now my aunt spent a lot of her years being a housewife, being a mother, um, supporting his goals, supporting his dreams. And once they got a divorce, she got nothing out of that. So now my aunt was 50 something years old. Now she got to enter the workforce with no skills. You see what I'm saying? Because she gave most of the years of her life, her good years, her youth, to the marriage. You see what I'm saying? So now you know, what I mean, she ended up going back to school and she ended up opening her own business, but with support and hard work, she was able to do that. Now, a lot of women, they don't get the opportunity to do that. So this is why you see a lot of females, they might end up working at Walmart. They might end up a manager at McDonald's or some shit like that because those are low skill jobs. But at the end of the day, women can end up losing out too because if a man ups and decides to leave his wife just like that, and she's 50 something years old trying to enter the workforce now because she got to support herself, it's like, damn, that's fucked up. And this is why the state gives women money. You know what I mean? Period. Now, in society, things tend to overcorrect. So you get a lot of good dudes getting caught up in the divorce court industrial complex, we'll call it, right? You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, let's not act like women don't suffer through divorce too. I've seen it happen with my own aunt, and I dare anybody to try to debate me on that shit. So it's like you got to find that sweet balance in that shit, man. So my thing is, what happens to the woman is this. Now, my aunt is not a vindictive lady, but if she was, she would tell all the young women around her, don't ever get married to a man. To have your own, be independent. Now, this is how this type of shit starts spiraling out of control. You dig what I'm saying? But she would never do that. She just took it on the chin, like you win some, you lose some. You dig? So I think marriage is a risk for everybody, man. That's all I'm saying. I know I kind of ramble, but you following what I'm trying to say.
So let me ask you this question, because I do follow what you say for sure, but let me ask you this question, because with regard to marriage, given the economic positioning of Black men, the fact that on average Black women are more employed, they have more money. Of course, when a Black man is employed, because we live in a male dominant society, he's getting paid more. But Black women, because they're employed more, they are better off economically than Black men. And this is on average, every piece of data says that this is the case. So given that usually men are typically seen as coming into the marriage as the financial provider, most Black men are not in the position to be anybody's financial provider. Given that, what do Black men actually bring of value to any marriage? Like what would be Black women? How are Black women benefiting from a marriage except for whatever value they place on marriage, which we do tend to place symbolic value on marriage. But aside from that, how does marriage benefit Black women?
Well, first and foremost, we got to start with we got a dad in the house. You know what I'm saying? First we got to start with the children. Children.
Not necessarily, though.
Well, look, hold on. I think children have had a better shot at being, emotionally balanced if they got a mom and dad in the house. If they got a good mom and good dad in the house. You know what I'm saying? Let me say that. If they got a good mom and good dad in the house, they got an opportunity to be more emotionally balanced. You see what I'm saying? And to have that. And I think with a good father in the house, a father that can provide, and it's not just one income to provide in the house, that child will have more opportunities, you know what I mean, to live a prosperous life.
Are Black men really right now emotionally balanced and psychologically well? And I'm not saying that Black women, we don't have our emotional instabilities and psychological damages either, but are Black men really psychologically well enough right now to where
just as much as Black women? Yeah.
You think just as much as Black women?
Just as much as Black women, yeah.
So why is it that Black
How you
women,
like them apples?
So let me ask you this question then. If it's just as much as Black women, then why is it that Black women can go to other races of men and statistically they have longer lasting, more fulfilling relationships than Black men do?
I don't know the statistics on that, so I
do.
can't debate that. And hold on.
I do.
I'm not even going to attempt to debate that with you because I don't know those statistics. I know that I just know what I observe, you know what I mean? So like we're not even going to debate that. I don't know the numbers on swirlers. I don't know the divorce rates on swirlers. I know there's a lot of white women walking around with Black kids that are single mothers.
Right.
I don't like that for us either. You know what I'm saying? I know it's a lot of Hispanic women walking around with Black kids that they wasn't married to a Black man. So, I don't think our reputation right now is good. And I'll be the first one to take that on the chin. It's like, yo, we got a lot of shit to clean up. But if we want to talk about emotionally balanced, yeah, I don't think that you were in no position to even raise that question. I'm not talking about you personally. I'm not talking about you personally, but I'm just saying like Black women as a group. I think we all are sick. Personally,
I know, but I'm talking about, because I know you weren't saying it personally. Even if you weren't saying it personally, it is what it is. I'm saying that in a context of relationships, because if we're talking about the functionality of how a household is going to run, the household is only going to be as functional as the relationships of the two people who are the heads of household, meaning the man and the woman.
Hold on, Cynthia. Hold on, Cynthia. Hold on. Mm-hmm. I just want to address something because I know we don't have a lot of time. Now, somebody in my chat room said Kevin Samuels would eat her alive. Let me address this, man. and this is for everybody. There's over 500 people in here. I don't bring people on my show or women in particular to get the one up on women. I don't do that. I bring people on my shit for dialogue, bro. Period. You know what I'm saying? And
And
I
let
know
me
we're not going to solve. I
and
know
let
we're
me
not going.
say this. Can I just say this really quickly, not to interrupt you? I've seen
But
Kevin
you did
Samuels.
interrupt me. Go ahead.
I've seen Kevin Samuels in my chat box on multiple of my live streams. I've thrown out the number to my live streams multiple times where anybody could call in, particularly in certain instances where he was in my chat box. So bottom line of it is, no man in life or on YouTube has ever eaten me alive in an intellectual debate. That's just the reality, and there won't be one on YouTube who will. So if y'all think Kevin Samuels is what y'all say that he is, then tell him next time, rather than trolling my chat box, call in. That's all I'll say.
Well, I disagree with a few things you said, but we'll talk about that
Okay,
in a minute.
well,
Like I say, at the end of the day, I don't even want that kind of energy around my show. You know what I'm saying? I bring women on to have some healthy dialogue and we vibe out. And at the end of the day, the things we agree on, we agree on. The things we don't agree on, we just won't agree on. There's no bad blood. I'm not here to make nobody feel bad. I'm not here to make nobody look stupid. You see what I'm saying? So if motherfuckers want that kind of energy, take your ass up over there. You know what I mean? It's just like that. You know what I'm saying? Because the problem is a lot of niggas, they live for that moment to get the one up on a woman, black women in particular. You know what I mean? And that shit to me is some of the most unmasculine shit in the fucking world. You know
it
what I'm
is.
saying? If I can't sit here eye to eye with a female, you know what I'm saying, with a woman, and we chop it up, you know what I mean? The things we agree on, look, we'll continue to agree on. If we can't do that shit on some civilized shit without all this acrimony and with all this trying to make people feel bad and look bad, then I ain't got time for that shit, man. I think that shit corny. I mean, period. You know what I mean? But let's get back to the fucking conversation, man. That shit just caught my attention and shit.
Okay.
Talking about eating somebody alive. If I wanted to eat Cynthia alive, I could easily spank her at any time. But this is just good dialogue. You know what I'm saying? We just trying to have healthy conversation for the people. That's it. You know what I mean? As far as all the debates and shit, I mean that's light work. That's really light work. But anyway, so back to the conversation at hand, Miss Cynthia Green.
Mm-hmm.
You did. So, in your personal opinion, throughout the duration of your life, what are the average? What are the averages between good men and I guess dusties, like you call them? You know what I mean? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 70-30? What do you think? Do you have an issue? Hold on, hold
I
on, hold
think
on.
it's
Let me
more.
finish the question. Do you have an issue meeting good men?
I think the ratio, and I'm being generous here, would be more like 90-10. I think it would be more like 90-10. Because, and I'll say that because all black women and all other races of non-black women who are having the same experiences and the same outcomes by and large with black men, I have to look at that. I have to look at it. I have to look at, regardless to the race of the mother, she's gonna be a single, nearly guaranteed to be a single mother. It's just about whether she's more likely or less likely to be a single mother. I have to look at that. I have to look at the overall dateability or ability to be effective partners. And it doesn't seem like black men are really able to be effective partners with any race of woman. Again, if you look, because if you, just like you said, you see a lot of white women who are single mothers. Now, they're saying that it doesn't matter in the chat box, but you only don't want data to matter when it's unfavorable to black men. And that's because all avenues of data is unfavorable to black men. There isn't one data source that says black men are good partners for anyone. There just isn't. And even when the data is collected by black people, they come up with the same conclusion, is that overall they're not good partners. And rather than looking at that information and saying, hey, the common denominator is me, if I get with a white woman, they have a high single mother rate, they're complaining about the same things. Black women, Asian women, non-black Hispanic women, all of them are experiencing the same thing from Black men, yet they keep saying, oh, well, the Black woman needs to change. No, it sounds like the Black man needs to change because he doesn't have effective relationships with anyone. All groups of women, regardless to race, are experiencing the same thing that Black women do. But if you look at other races of men who date Black women across the board, they're not experiencing the same thing that Black men experience. So the fact that they don't see that the common denominator in these dysfunctional relationships are Black
look, look,
women. That's not to say Black women are perfect. We're not. But in terms of relationships, Black women are able to have more functional relationships with other races of men, and Black women are not able to do that with other races of women. They're not.
Says you?
So it's all data sources. Every single data source says they're more likely to be single mothers.
What's your data source?
More likely to have failed relationships and end in divorce. The divorce rate between Black men and white women particularly is significantly higher than any other relationship dynamic. It's even like it just
and is. You think hold on, because you're moving 1,000,000 miles per hour. You know what I'm saying? We gonna let me get a handle on this thing. Yeah. So it's like this, because you kind of lost me for a minute. That's why I had to slow you down. Now, you saying that Black men, we are not having good relationships with Black women and other races of women solely because, is it one, our economics? Is it one, our mentality towards relationships? Is it our position in society? Is it, how we view women? What do you think it is? I'm not even, hold on, because I don't want to debate your sources, because like I say, I haven't read the sources. So that's something I'm not even going to attempt to debate with you about. You know what I mean? The best thing I can do is try to have the conversation just going off of our observations. And that's what I want to do. So what do you think it is?
I think it's all of the above. I think that they don't want to be better partners. I think that they don't want to. I think that see that because they have access to other races of women, they don't see that they have any flaws. I think that it's too easy for them to point the finger at Black women and say that Black women need to change, and for them to tune out any information that says, no, Black men, you need to change. Black women may need to change, and nobody's negating that. But in terms of your relationship dynamic, you need to change because you're not having, and that doesn't mean that you can't find any Black men who are having any relationship that may be deemed as successful with another race of women. But on average, they don't. There isn't one.
Okay. Let me jump in here because you're driving kind of fast right now. Mm-hmm. Okay, boom. So you really think that Black women's relationships, let's say white men in particular, are functional? Or is it the fact that a Black woman will take a bottom shelf dude, you know what I'm saying, just a regular guy? I'm not saying in all cases, but a lot of cases, they'll take just a regular guy, you know what I'm saying? He could be below average looking. You see what I'm saying? She could be unsatisfied sexually. You dig what I'm saying? And she'll still put up with certain things because a lot of Black women, they not gonna buck back against white men because that's who butter their bread. It's more consequential for a Black woman to disobey the orders of a white man than for her to do it to a Black man. And a lot of times Black women will take abuse. Let's say borderline abuse, because I don't like that word. I don't like the way it roll off my tongue. They will take borderline abuse from white men or men of other races rather than even submit to a Black man. You see what I'm saying? Because like I say, it's more consequential for y'all to buck back against a white man because that's who will give y'all the opportunities. So you're fucking your nails. Something wrong with your cuticle? Hold on. Is there something wrong with your cuticle?
Huh?
Something wrong with your cuticle? So you're sitting over there plucking your nails like you're not really following what I'm saying. I don't like that.
I'm following what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and that's why I got to respond to it.
You're not ready. Now, what did I say that's not true?
I agree with some of it.
You don't like Swirlies either, though, Cynthia.
I don't.
You're not a big fan of Swirlies either. So don't sit up here and try to champion that movement all of a sudden.
I'm not championing it. I'm not championing it because I don't have a dog in the swirling fight. However, I know what I'm talking about because I know many Black women who have been in relationships with white men. And what I will tell you, if you look at the interracial DV rates, the highest interracial DV rates are actually not between Black men, Black women, and white men. They're actually between Black men and white women. But here's the caveat: most of the time, the white woman is initiating it. So, in terms of interracial DV, it's actually Black men who are suffering the most DV from white women, actually. So they have a larger tendency to go into these relationships and tolerate disrespect and tolerate abuse and tolerate racial degradation than anybody is. That's just the reality of what it is. Black men get heavily degraded, some of them voluntarily, in these relationships because, again, it goes back to the fact that they see white people as better than them. They see white women as better than them, and they see Black women and white men as better than them. So that's why they're more likely to tolerate things from white women. And now, will Black women go in relationships and tolerate things from white men? Absolutely. What do Black women go to white men in relationships for? Commitment, financial stability, and all the things that they believe that Black men cannot provide to them. So maybe they see another trade-off. Maybe they see, if I'm going to deal with a bad attitude and abuse from Black men with no commitment, no stability, no financial support, no protection, then I might as well go over to this white man and experience the same abuse that I'm going to get anyway, but he's going to be a financial provider and he's going to marry me and commit to me and things of that sort. If you listen to what swirlers say, swirling Black females, this is their logic. Now, I'm not in a relationship with a white man, and I never have been, so that's not my story.
Let's unpack that. So, could we sit here and say now that the Black men that Black women tend to look over, let's say the non-select guy, just for lack of time, right? Now, would you say that this is a case of self-inflicted wounds because the Black men that would treat you right or could treat you right, y'all not attracted to them, so you won't give them a chance? But at the same time, a lot of y'all will go over and hop the fence to a man that you're not attracted to. You're definitely not getting good dick because a lot of y'all still fucking Black men on the side.
And a lot of Black men are still having sex with Black women on the side too.
Okay, indeed. But this is hold on. Because this is not a tit for tat. We're trying to get to the bottom of this. So at the same time, a lot of those wounds are self-inflicted. And look, let's not bullshit and act like y'all don't love that Black dick. Let's not play the game. You know what I'm saying? Let's not play that game. And at the end of the day, y'all will go get a white guy that it's nothing about this dude that y'all attracted to. And yeah, he could be a good provider financially. He could make sure you got what you need financially. But two things you're not going to get, Ms. Green. And that's dick that can cure cancer, right?
Right. Ain't no white dick curing anything. I can tell you that right now.
All right, dick that can cure cancer, but more importantly is that spiritual connection.
Right.
Like, you're not gonna get that with a white man. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, shout out to Tony Maceo, like he says so eloquently, we pretty much stuck with each other. You know that, I know that.
I actually like Tony Maceo and what he has to say.
You say you do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, indeed. That's the habit. So at the end of the day, oh yeah, like I was saying, dick that can cure cancer, that y'all just love, and a spiritual connection that, you know, a lot of Black men not going to find anywhere else. I'll be the first one to say it. I've done videos about it. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to find a spiritual connection nowhere, and y'all not going to find that spiritual connection nowhere else. So it's like we stuck with each other. We are where we are. So now we got to build on top of the knowledge that we know. You know what I'm saying? And I think personally, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Green, I think at the end of the day, a lot of our issues with the relationships is economics. You know what I'm saying? Economics.
I don't think that's true. Because most of the complaints that I hear from black women about black men isn't economically. It's part of it that is economic, but they're also non-committal. They don't take accountability. They're immature. They're both emotionally and physically abusive. And a lot of them lack ambition to even try and do anything. They have a distorted perspective of manhood. They have no respect for women, and they have an entitlement attitude.
I didn't say, hold on, because I see some people. I didn't say the only problem. I said my personal opinion. I think the biggest issue that a lot of relationships are not, standing the test of time is economics. And look, man, I'm
Okay,
not a
so
woman.
what is the issue that black men's relationships with other races of women? What is that primary issue? Because they're single mothers, they complain about the abuse too. Do
I
you
think
know?
a lot of black men went into these situations where other races of women, one, just making a hasty emotional decision. You might have been frustrated with black women. You might not have liked the relationship with your black mother or black sisters. You might have feel, like you wasn't paid the proper attention. A lot of guys did it out of spite, out of revenge, because maybe she'll come back up. A lot of guys did it out of spite, out of revenge, because the black women that they liked when they was young didn't pay attention to them, walked right past them, didn't give them the proper care, didn't have sex with them. So it's not one silver bullet, man. I think it's just many reasons on why this is the case. You did. At the end of the day, I think it's many reasons why that is the case. I don't know what happened to my guest. Maybe she'll be back up here. We did, but we'll keep the conversation going. Yo, shout out to everybody that sent super chats, man. Y'all been really holding me down. Um, dig what I'm saying. Shout out to the chat room in general. You know what I'm saying? Y'all pretty much been on y'all best behavior in the chat. And anytime I bring a guest on, I really appreciate that, because I would never bring a guest on my show and drag them. Never. You know what I'm saying? So y'all know how we rock over here, man.
So
Even
what did I miss when I got booted?
Oh yeah, like I was
You
saying,
didn't boot it. No, but
nah, that's your bullshit Wi-Fi and shit. Nah, like I was saying,
hey, look, my Wi-Fi is 5G. Okay, so I mean, I think my Wi-Fi is fine.
indeed, indeed. So, like I was saying, oh yeah, I was listing off the reasons on why black men, a lot of black men go into these situations with other races of women, not being educated enough on what they're getting into, and once they hop the fence, you know, it perceives to be easier because let's say white women's demeanor and disposition in particular, let's take white women, it perceives to be easier, but over time dudes realize, well, they got fuckery too. It's
Well, do
just
you
not.
think they are? Do you think they're easier? Because I mean, I guess
I don't
it
know.
was because
I mean,
you
I've always said white women got fuckery too, but it displays itself different. So I wouldn't say easier. It's different. It's just a different experience. But I wouldn't use the word easier. Look, look, man. The guys that say stuff like that, let's be for real. Most of the time, those guys are non-select guys in the eyes of the black women that they want. A lot of those guys are traumatized that say stuff like that. Let's just be honest. Cynthia. I mean, can we be honest for a second? Can we
Yeah.
be real?
Can I ask you a quick
Can we keep it
sidebar
real?
question? So,
Sure.
how much of like what percentage of attraction that black men have to white women do you think it's because they're white? Because I think that they have these mindsets, and even if they do feel like okay, these women because they're white, you're literally talking about the woman that a white man raised. So you're basically saying that this white man is better suited to raise women who are going to be good mates in a relationship than a black man is. That's what you're saying by saying this white woman is
So you're
better,
talking about off skin color alone? Just,
right?
just,
But
just,
I'm saying, what percentage of it do you think is based on their whiteness? Because black men, not all of them, but
okay,
they
hold
do
on. That's what
seem
I
to
need
be
you to do.
very race driven with their decisions. They're
Like I
very
need you to ask
race
me one
driven.
question at a time,
Yeah.
because what you're doing is you asking me a question, but you throwing your little personal opinions in there too. Like, well, yeah, I'm like, whoa,
No,
just ask
I'm
me a
just saying
question.
from my perspective, they always want somebody to know that they're with a white woman. So it seems like they're very race driven. Or if they get an Asian woman, they have to
Well,
somehow
those are the
let the world know that they're with
well,
a
those are
woman
the
that's of
guys.
the race.
Okay, all right. Those are the guys that's doing it out of spite. You know what I'm saying? For real. If a man can't say, I have a new girlfriend, period. If he has to say, I have a new white girlfriend or I have a new Asian girlfriend,
You know they be doing that. You know
yeah,
they be doing
okay,
that.
no, I agree. Now, those are the guys that's doing it out of spite. They're not doing it because they met somebody that they vibe with. They're doing it out of spite, and they want they want you to feel some type of way in particular. You see what I'm saying? They want to get a reaction out of you because okay, Cynthia Green didn't want me. Cynthia Green walked right past me. She wasn't feeling me. You know what I mean? She didn't want me. So now I'm gonna turn around and throw this white woman up in Cynthia Green face. You dig what I'm saying? And they want to see you mad, angry, and bitter for the rest of your days because you didn't choose them. You dig? I think that's the case for the most part for those guys that always want to promote her as what we gonna say, the token white woman and shit, or like the white girl that chose me. But I think psychologically it's a kind of uh, they almost feel safer. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like they've been so traumatized by black women. Cause let's be honest, man. When black girls are young, they mean, especially to boys that they don't like. I'm just gonna put it out there. They mean as a motherfucker. You know what I mean? To the boys that they don't like. And when you're young in your adolescent years, that can put a major stain on your brain. I'm just gonna put it out there. So at the end of the day, a lot of these guys are filled with anger. They filled with hostility towards y'all because they haven't got over that time. And even if later on in life those guys can get a decent black woman, those guys can attract black women that they are attracted to, it doesn't matter. They want revenge from that time in their life. They haven't got over that time in their life. You dig what I'm saying? So a lot of young black girls don't understand how mean they are to guys that they're not attracted to. It starts there. Um,
Are black boys nice or are they
I'm
obnoxious
not saying we
and
nice.
rude? And
I ain't
like,
saying we
'cause
nice.
I remember being in middle school and elementary school and high school and even college, and I can't think of one time where black boys to adolescents to teenagers to men, I can't think of one time when they were nice ever. They're
So you
not
can't.
nice. They're
So you
trash.
gonna sit here and tell me you can't think of one time?
No, they're not nice. They're definitely not nice to black women. Even as men, they got some of the nastiest attitudes out there. Really? No, they're not
Oh,
nice.
you want a hug, boo boo? Oh, you want a hug?
I don't need a hug.
You
I'm good
sure?
on a hug, but they're
Or you want
they're
Boogie to
not
come give you a
nice.
hug?
I don't need no hug.
You
But I'm
got
just saying they're not nice. They're very rude and mean, and they'll hit you. Now that hasn't happened to me, but they're just not nice. I can't think of a time. Like, in fact, I'll tell you, I have a sister, and she said one of her primary issues that kind of made her not attracted to black men, and she actually dates out. She said it was particularly her school time when she always had black men trying, or black boys, because if they're in middle school and high school, trying to fight her, talking about her skin tone, just like she always had to defend herself from a black guy. And she said in those same situations, it was always the white dudes helping out. It was the black men trying to fight her, or black boys. In high school and middle school, I'm not going to call them men, though they're boys. But it was the black boys trying to fight her, and the white dudes basically coming in and intervening.
okay. All right. So can we say that it's on both sides? Can we say
Yeah.
that black kids are mean to each other,
Mm-hmm.
particularly when people like each other? So like we got some cultural dysfunction that we got to deal with. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just giving the male perspective from what I see, and y'all gave me the woman's perspective. So now we got some better information that we can build off of. Even though you probably gonna go back to your channel and be like, "Oh, see, Boogie said this, throw that shit in the air." Like,
No,
fuck
I'm
that.
actually
I'm going with
not.
my narrative. Fuck
Not.
no, I'm going with my narrative. But
And did
at
you
the,
not know, sidebar? Because you do know that I told you it was literally a black man stalking me, putting targets on my head, putting like pictures of me and photos of rifles.
what was
There was
this?
a black
Like the
man.
YouTube social media shit?
Yes, yes,
Mm.
it was a black man doing it.
Well, let's matter of fact, let's go there because we're gonna take questions soon because I know time is of the essence. Let's go there, Cynthia. Now
Yeah.
you've made quite a name for yourself, through YouTube, and I want to say, when I first heard your name was mentioned, it wasn't in the best of light. It was based off of negativity. You know what I'm saying? Well, F that B, she ain't this, she ain't that, that type of language. I mean, she hate black men, woo, 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 all of this kind of stuff. But I would say
You think I
a
hate
lot of
black
that
people?
comes from a lot of dudes would want the opportunity to fuck you. You know what I'm saying? I would venture to say that your inbox is crazy. I would venture to say that your inbox is pretty lit with dudes that might talk crap about you, but at the same time, they want to holler at you too. So, like a lot of it, it comes off as aggression and hostility, but a lot of those dudes, they got a crush on you because you are like the representation of the around the way girl that they can never get at. You know what I mean? The girl that's gonna, talk you down. You got that little snap about you. It comes off very sexually attractive. You see what I'm saying? But they don't have what it takes to, I would say, communicate with a woman like you. You know what I'm saying? They don't really have what it takes or whatever. So they take unconventional methods to get your attention. Because really, if they didn't care about you, they would just ignore you. You know what I'm saying? If they didn't give a damn about, your opinions or how you perceive certain things, they would just ignore you. But they won't. They want your attention back. You dig what I'm saying? Down to just the mean kind of stalkerish, rapey vibes that they give off. So, you got to understand who you are. And I'm here to tell you who you are. A lot of those guys, they wouldn't want it any other way but to bend you over and make you say, "Oh my God, how much do you love like that?" They
Let me
want.
explain to you how they don't even have the dick capacity to do that because a lot of these dudes got little dick energy. And if you got a tiny dick, you can keep it over there. If you got a crippled leg and a tiny dick, keep it over there. They
Oh
have
God,
tiny dick energy. You
yeah.
know they do. You know they have the tiny dick energy. Keep it over there. I'm not, no.
Yeah, no doubt. So, I think that's the case for a lot of dudes. Because, like I say, I don't really hear your name. I mean, like you ain't never come off to me a certain kind of way. So I judge people off of my interactions with them first. I can't judge a person, male or female, off of their interactions with anybody else. And I definitely don't believe rumors because I know how social media is, especially with black folks. So, at the end of the day, I understand you got strong opinions, but some of that shit I've seen with dudes constantly putting now somebody said I'm simping. Yeah, 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 I'm simping a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm a simp for a minute. You did.
See, this is what I'm talking about because that person right there probably thinks he's a good man. He probably thinks he's a good man as he calls somebody who simply is being respectful, having a cordial conversation, not calling names. He thinks that's simping, but he probably thinks he's a good man. That's what I'm telling you. They're trash. They really are. They're trash men. They're not good men. These men who run around here saying, well, which basically when they say she should have chose better, they're just saying she should have chose me because they're not better. They're worse. They're trash.
Mm, no, I can dig it. I think. Well, you got to understand. Well, I'm not gonna say that, but I think when people see two beautiful people talking and shit, they
They're ugly, basically. So basically, they're ugly. Okay.
well, like not even that, but they like, oh my God, you know what I mean? What do they got cooking up? But they don't understand chemistry. You know what I'm saying? They don't understand positive vibes. You know what I mean? And that's just what you capturing right here, ladies and gentlemen. You capturing the vibe. You did what I'm saying, so y'all can kind of tone that down in the chat. Because the last time me and you did a live stream, It was actually on your channel, and no cap, niggas was making live streams like Cynthia G is trying to trap Boogie with a baby. She want to get pregnant by Boogie. I was like, yo, fam, we did a 30-minute live stream together. What are y'all talking about, man?
You're right.
But this is how I know that a lot of these niggas is incel. Yo, but that's how I know a lot of these niggas incel.
What is the assumption that a woman just wants to get pregnant by a man? Do y'all know that there are some women who actually do not want to be pregnant? Like, so
Okay,
they think every woman want to have a baby with a man?
Let's because I want to ask some questions. I'm just kidding. I want to let the chat room ask you some questions before you go, because we kind of over time. Now, for the people in the chat, if y'all want to ask Cynthia G some questions, y'all can. I would prefer y'all super chat your questions, because I don't want everything coming in at once.
They
And
super chat them to weed out the dust. Period. Because I'm not taking just a dusty question. So if it's that,
yeah, no doubt.
Super chat it.
So, make sure it's respectful. We're not getting into people's personal lives and shit. And I'll put it up on the screen so she can see it, and we'll just go from there. Because, like I say, neither one of us got a lot of time. So, right now is the question and answer portion, and let's try to stay on topic, ladies and gentlemen. But while they coming through with the questions, yeah, man, like, man, you did a live stream, I'm saying, a few months ago, and that was some of the rumblings I was hearing, and I was like, man, y'all some real immature motherfuckers. But it made me think. I was like, now I understand why women don't deal with y'all, because of that mentality right there. You know what I mean? Straight up and down. You know what I mean? That was very telling to me. Anytime a man and a woman can't just vibe out, and you don't have to agree on everything. You know what I'm saying? But y'all can just have the discussion and chop it up like.
I think that's their problem, is that they lack personality and social skills to actually have conversations with the women they want to have conversations with. And that's why I say, you have these dudes parading around saying that they're better men and that they're the better option, but they can't tell you what makes them the better option. Some of them may say, well, because I have a job, I haven't been to prison, I have a college degree. But beyond that, and even to that extent, some of them can't explain what makes them better. You're not better just because you don't have any kids. You're not better just because you haven't been to jail. You're not better just because you have a job. That's not you being better. That's showing your ability to submit to a society that another man runs. That's showing your ability to do that. Should you stay out of prison? Absolutely. But having never been to prison doesn't even mean you're not a criminal. It means you just haven't been caught. A lot of these men have a criminal, dusty mindset. They're not good men. They couldn't be good men. They could barely spell good men. And they can't even tell you the difference between themselves and these so-called Pookie and Ray Rays, except that they're scared.
All right, question we got on the screen from Olivia Gabriella. Thanks for the $5 super chat. It says, why don't non-select black men like non-select black women? They keep harping on the girls that didn't like them in high school or colleges. Choose your level. Facts. Do you want you want to answer, or you want me to tell you?
Yeah, because they have an entitlement issue. Anytime you get mad because a certain level of woman doesn't want you, it's because you feel like you're entitled to that woman. Because you won't get mad if you don't feel like something is yours and that you're not entitled to it. You're not going to get mad. But let's just be real. Black men, especially when it comes to a black woman, have an entitlement issue, because they don't run around talking about these select white women didn't like them. They'll lay up with a non-select white woman all day, every day, because they don't feel like they have an entitlement to her. They feel like she's doing him a favor by being with him. This is why they also won't tell a white woman she should have chose better, especially when it comes to a black man. So it's because they have an entitlement mentality. That's why you would be bruised and find it traumatic that some girl in high school didn't take you to the prom or didn't show you attention because you feel entitled to a woman that is not yours. Stay in your lane.
That's exactly what I was about to say. I think, that's my quick answer to that question, Olivia. There's a lot of people not driving in that lane, in their respective lane. And, And instead of them doing what it takes and putting in an improvement to change their lane, they want to actually change the people in the lane. And, that's what they spend days and nights really talking about. The women that's in their lane. But it's like, dog, you got to get out of your lane and into another lane. You know what I mean? That's how you do that. So, um, that question would be more going into like a sort of mating. And I don't really think that's a bad idea, but we don't have enough time to get into that. So why don't non-select black men like non-select black women? Because a lot of motherfuckers at the end of the day think just because they make money that it makes them sexually attractive in the eyes of women. And that's just two different things. Money helps, but that's not the end all be all. But we got more questions and shit.
Yeah, can we address this Dusty comment? Because this is what I'm talking about. A man who exhibits masculinity would not even ask this question, but whatever. It says, Sinji, what is domination, submission to you, and why do black men have to be sacrificial pounds for the black community, or did you mean lambs? Because that's not the abbreviation for lambs. You put pounds. LBS is pounds. So I don't know. But I'll try to answer it. Whatever. When you dominate someone, you have authority over them. So you can control the outcome of their life. You can subject them to consequences or rewards. That is what domination is. Submission, on the other hand, is the one who's adhering to the authority. So just like how you will have these, your last part of the question said, why do we have to be sacrificial lambs? You wouldn't see yourself as a sacrificial lamb if you weren't in a dominated position, because you would just act however you wanted to act. Nobody will be able to subject you to any consequence. So if you feel like you're a sacrificial lamb, that is because you're under the domination of someone else. And you can either submit voluntarily or involuntarily. And I think that you're doing a number. And I think within our community, there's involuntary and voluntary submission, both of them. So that's the answer to your question. How would you answer it, Boogie?
Are you talking about that question? What is domination, submission to you? And why do black men have to be sacrificial lambs for the bulk community? I think that's one of them questions that comes from a man's personal experience, because I haven't had that experience as far as being a sacrificial lamb. Um, in totality, some of this shit is just the burden of being a man, which I don't see as a burden. For me, the way I see things is, if I walk outside of my house, in the vicinity of my neighborhood, I see some trash on the ground, I'm gonna pick it up. You know what I'm saying? That's just how it flows. So, and that goes from the kids in my neighborhood to, the adults in my neighborhood. If I got any kind of influence for change, then I'm gonna be a part of that shit. You dig what I'm saying? Not to say that they're not gonna have to hear my mouth, because they are, but at the end of the day, some of this shit is just manhood. And I think being a black man, that comes with an extra little bit of that you got to do because of our position in society. And the racism is really against us. It's not toward black women. So, we got a lot to overcome. So for that, what I'm saying? That's just how I feel about it. You dig? Um, but we got another question for Cynthia. It says, failed black men mostly comes from failed black single mothers who grew them. So black women have a lot to do with this problem they helped create it. You can take that.
So single black mothers are representing the failure of the black father who created a child and then failed to raise it. Because just because you're not in a relationship with a woman doesn't mean that you can't raise your child. So we're not talking about black women having a lot to do with this problem. No, it's the absentee black father. There's no psychological studies that says that there's psychological damage done to a child when the mother stays and chooses to raise it. The psychological damage is coming from the father who chose to leave. So you're like, again, dusty mentality that shows that they're not good men. For you to even think that, like, why would you put a man choosing to not raise his child on the woman? What does your relationship with that woman have to do with you raising your child? since you're choosing not to. So no, absentee fathers is the problem, not mothers who are staying around to raise their children.
Okay. No doubt. Is there a question that I missed? I'm trying to think. Make sure I got to everything. Yeah, if y'all got a question for Cynthia, y'all can super chat y'all questions to her, and as y'all see, she'll get right to it. But I think with that question, I believe what Dewey was trying to say is, if the women are raising the children, and if we have all of these issues in Black America, don't you think that is the mother's fault that the outcomes are what it is? I
No,
believe he might have been trying to say that.
well, even if he was saying that, no, because the problems that we're dealing with are not traced to women raising their children. They're traced to men abandoning their children. That's why. Like, give us a set of psychological issues, because your psychology affects your actions. So if you take a set of psychological issues, that can be traced to an absentee father, not a mother that's staying there.
So
Like,
Zero said, stop choosing
is
thugs.
creating the psychological issues.
So Zero says, stop choosing thugs that have a high % chance of not being there.
How do you do that? How do you choose a man? Like, what does that look like, where you choose thugs that have a high % chance of not being there? Like, how do you tell that from looking at a man to choose that? What would that look? I need to know, what would that look like?
I don't know. You gotta ask Zero.
Yeah, what
But
does a thug that have
let's
a
not play
high
this game. Like, you know what the thugs
not
look like.
being there? What does that look like? Because Pookie and Ray Ray are not in these child support courts. These non-select blue-collar men are the ones in child support. Pookie and Ray Rays don't go to court. They don't show up to court for child support order. Blue-collar men do. So where are all these Pookies and Ray Rays that's running around any court system? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, what does a thug that has a high percentage of not being there, what does that look like?
Thanks for the super chat, Tyrone. Tyrone Reaper. Well, that question was for you, so I ain't got to answer.
Yeah, so he needs to. I don't even know what that looks like. I wouldn't know how to look at a Black man and tell whether he has a high rate of not being there. Like, I don't know what that looks like. So,
Why is a population of unmarried men obsessed with submission of women who they don't want to marry? That's a good question.
entitlement mentality. You have to understand that in this society, because by and large Black men are powerless, that is going to create a pathology to where you want to control something. And if you can't control your position in society, you're going to turn all of that aggression and anger inwards, and you're going to express it on your women, because you can't go express it on other men. They're not going to compare themselves to other men. They're not going to square up with other men. They're not going to square up with other men's women. So the only thing to do is to obsess over and micromanage Black women's behavior, when they really need to be obsessing over their own antisocial behavior, quite frankly.
It says, how, it seemed like more of a comment, how about birth control, Black men and Black women? Yeah, birth control was good.
It's funny that coming from a woman, to not understand. I'll tell you what, Black men have not Black men, men in general have a form of birth control that has no detrimental side effects. There isn't one form of birth control that doesn't have detrimental side effects to Black women. Every single one are women. Every single birth control method for women is highly toxic and has detrimental health effects. Condoms don't. Men are fertile 24/7. Women are fertile 6 days out of a month. Who should really be practicing birth control? We got 6 days to 24/7. So if you think that women need to be on birth control, you have an internalized misogynistic viewpoint. Men need to be on birth control. They are fertile all the time, period. Control your fertility, men.
So I have a couple questions, and what I'm saying, look, we're going to go for a few more minutes. I have a couple questions for you, and you don't have to answer them if you don't
Mhm.
want to, but I got a couple questions now.
Sure.
On a personal level, do you think that your temperament and do you think that your attitude towards a lot of things are the um the attitude that's typically displayed by black women?
I don't know. I mean, I think that it would be typically displayed by all women, some things. Granted, there are some things and some ways about me that could be modified and changed. Obviously, I'm not perfect. But I think that there isn't a race that exhibits one attitude. I think that all races of women exhibit certain attitude at certain points because women have certain expectations and they're going to have it regardless to what race they are. And if those expectations are not met, they're going to have an attitude towards it. But certain things, can I tend to work on some things? Of course. Of course.
What do you think that you need to work on just on a personal level?
I think sometimes I can be too high strung. I do. I think I can be high strung and neurotic sometimes. Sometimes I could probably be overly
Think.
critical. Yeah, I do. I think I could deal with my overly critical mentality. I do.
Mm. And how has that affected your dating life? You know what I'm saying? Has it ran good men off? Has it scared men? What has it
Okay,
made
so let
some
me.
men not want
No
to
man,
date?
okay, so here's the thing. No man has left me, so I don't know what running a man off. Even the ones that I don't want around, I don't know what running a man off would look like.
Okay.
I don't know what that would look like, to be honest. But I will say
Want me to
that
show you?
sure. I mean, I'll tell you.
Indeed.
I'll tell you the one thing is that I have had men say I complain too much. I have had that one.
Mm,
That's really the only one that stuck out to me is that they've said I complain too much.
okay. Um. Now, do you think in this condition, because you just said that there's a few things that you are working on to change about yourself. Now, do you think in this position, if somebody were to ask to marry you, are you in a position, emotionally and psychologically, to be married to? You know what I mean? Are you lovable at this moment in your life?
I don't know. Like to me, lovable is something different than marriage. I don't look at love and marriage as interchangeable. In terms of marriage, I don't know right now if I have the capacity to fulfill a long term commitment. I tend to get bored. That's the one thing that I worry. I worry that I would get bored in a marriage. That's what I worry about. That I would get bored and that I will want to go elsewhere because of boredom. So this is something that I worry about. And so, but in
Mhm.
terms of being, do I think I'm lovable? I guess if I would only think about that depending on the man. I'm not looking for love from every man that I meet. Actually, very few of them would I have I ever been concerned about their love. That's generally not the every man. I don't really care about whether he loves me per se. I only care if the man that I love loves me or finds me lovable. That's the only. Um,
Are you capable of loving?
I think the right person, yeah. If I saw that I was emotionally safe with the person, if I could trust him, if I saw that he had integrity, it's not so much that he can't make a mistake. It's about how is he going about it? What is the integrity of the mistake that he makes, I guess. So if I felt emotionally safe with him, yeah.
Emotionally safe, huh?
Mhm.
Okay. Indeed, indeed. How do men usually come at you when they're trying to holler at you? You know what I'm saying? Like, is it more in a professional manner? Hey, excuse me, can I talk to you for a second? Is it, hey, hey, come here, little bitch? Or is it you know, can I take you out this weekend? You dig what I'm saying? Like, how do they usually come at you?
It depends because I I actually get approached by other races of men more so than black men. I get approached more by white and Asian men than black men.
Well, because they look at you as a bed wench. But let's keep on with the question.
No, thanks.
I'm just being 100. They look at you as a bed
What
wench.
does a bad wench look like? What does a bad wench look like? From the eyes of a white man, since you clearly have them.
I mean, look, let's not play this game, please.
I mean, no, seriously, I want to know, what does a bad wench look like?
I mean, I don't think it's a particular look, but I just think it's a particular vibe.
You think do you think it's just a black woman? If they see a black woman, they automatically see a bad wench, or what do you think?
No, not all black women qualify for that.
You know,
But
a lot of white men, they actually prefer darker skin toned women with natural hair, right? Who don't really.
A lot of white men like that snap that y'all got. A lot of white men like to be dominated by black women in the bedroom. That's just the reality.
It is the reality. It is the reality.
So, like when they see and they get around your vibe, and you know what I mean, they understand, because a lot of white men like that strong black woman kind of thing going on and shit. They'll pay for it. They'll sponsor that shit. They'll cultivate it. They'll sit there and celebrate that shit, even though they don't want that from their women.
Right, but you said specifically they see a bad wench, and so I need to know from your perspective, what does a bad wench look like? Because I've never heard a white man use the term bad wench. I haven't heard them use that term. I've never heard other races of men use the term bad wench. So
we got another question real quick.
Oh, so we'll get past that one?
No. We'll come back. But I want to get these super chats out the way before I forget. Thanks for the $2 super chat. Incog Spectator. What you said is false. You say because of the missing father, but did you ever think that women accepting feminism being injected into the black community in black? He didn't get a chance to fix it, but you can go ahead.
I don't think feminism is causing psychological issues on anybody. No, I don't. I've never heard of the psychological issues on a child that feminism has. So no, I've never thought about feminism being injected into because I would have to counter that. Why did black men allow feminism to be injected in their community? Why did y'all allow it? Can anybody tell me why they...
Since I'm the only other person with a microphone, I'll take a shot at it. I think, even though that shit happened long before I was born, but I think at the end of the day...
And me too, but whatever.
I think certain aspects of feminism... I mean, black men, we was in no position to fight against it. I mean, what defense? What defense? Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. What defense? I said defense. What defense could we have put up against feminism coming out of our community? All about it. What could we have done that would have made black women choose us over food stamps or whatever it is that they felt that they needed at the time? I wasn't around, but I would suspect if somebody taking government handouts, they probably need it. So what could we have done to combat that? And right now, I don't have the answers for that shit. I don't even get into these kind of conversations because I would more so have liked to be around at that time to get a better assessment on it. You know what I mean? I don't like when there's a bunch of niggas that's 18, 19 years old talking about feminism as if they were around at that time, as if they got any clue what the people at that time had to go up against. I think that's very irresponsible. You got niggas 21 years old talking about, feminism. I'm like, man, shut the fuck up. You're a social media nigga. What the fuck you talking about?
Here's the thing. Because your dusty friend proposed another question, which it would be the same thing. Because if he says you allowed it because you accepted the lie that you are oppressed. So black women weren't oppressed? You see what I'm talking about when I say the dusty trash mentality? So black women weren't oppressed at all. So it's a lie that there was oppression. And this is a, you know, this is an ugly non-select Dusty. Even the super chat shows that you're ugly and non-select. It's just not, I'm not taking questions from anybody else that's ugly. I'm not.
Well, that's fucked up. Well, at the end of the day, I just think that's just a narrative that certain people put out there to, try to make themselves feel better. Because to say that black women didn't have a hard time in this country, that would be, like I say, it's past delusional, it's irresponsible. You know what I'm saying? Now we can debate, on how bad it was or whatever. But at the end of the day, to say that black woman to some degree wasn't oppressed, and y'all didn't have to fight y'all uphill battles in this society as well. I think that's bullshit, man. So I just think a lot of niggas. It all comes back to this thing about y'all not choosing better guys, which leads back to, well, y'all didn't choose me. You know what I'm saying? I believe all roads lead back to that, man. I can't spin it any other way now. I done heard it all. You dig what I'm saying? How can a motherfucker that's not even 30 talk about feminism as if he was around? You know what I'm saying? I think that's insanity, man. But when you create these platforms, you know what I'm saying, and these echo chambers where people just regurgitate the same shit and they back each other up on shit that's not even substantiated, man, it turns into just dangerous territory. And that's why I can't really fuck with that shit, man. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
if you
a,
don't like Cynthia, just say Cynthia, I don't like you, instead of talking about all this other kind of shit. You know what I mean? Just get to the point.
seriously, because chances are if you don't like me, you're probably ugly. So it is it is what it
Yo,
is. I'm just
I
gonna
had a
tell you
feeling
right.
you were gonna come on here and cut up. I had a feeling
No,
you were gonna cut up and
I'm
shit.
not. No, I'm actually not. So when you read that comment, you know it was coming from an ugly person. You know it was. You
Dr.
know
J.
the person saying it was ugly. You know they were, and that's just the reality of what it was. They're ugly. So
I- but that's just how I feel about it. I
you
think
wanted your bed into the lie that you was oppressed. Okay, whatever. Okay, well we weren't. It's like seriously. Um,
I mean to say that black women weren't oppressed in this nation is to say that black men weren't oppressed. Come on. You see what I'm saying? A lot of dudes want to separate themselves. Let me say this. A lot of dudes want to separate themselves from the black woman. You know what I'm saying? And you don't get one without the other. You see what I mean? And
yeah.
black women can't separate ourselves from black men. Our condition is our condition. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to run from it or not, whether we want to denounce it, it doesn't matter. You see what I'm saying? If any other culture in this world, on this planet, if we go to anywhere else and we see the condition of the women were unsatisfactory, anybody else want to look at the men, right? I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
Mhm.
But how can black men totally try to separate themselves if it wasn't something wrong here? You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, when Barack Obama was elevated to president, Michelle was automatically elevated, automatically by default.
Mhm.
Even though she had accomplishments of her own and she had a name for herself, but it didn't matter. He got elevated, she got elevated. You see what I'm saying? So I think a lot of this shit just reached a point where I'm just tired of hearing about this shit, man. This shit come back to sexual access. At the end of the day, you know it, I know it. We can dance around it. We can moonwalk around this shit, but that's just the truth. It come back to sexual access, man. You can't
You
tell.
know,
Now go ahead.
I asked a dude who called in the last time I went live. I asked him if black men were able to go into the people of no colors community and subjugate their women, and he said no. And I asked him why, and after he thought about it, he said because men of no color wouldn't allow it. And so if you can admit that black men are not able to go into other communities and subjugate their women because the men won't allow it, then by default, you're saying that the reason our community is subjugated and the reason these men are running roughshod within our community and presenting whatever they want and doing whatever they want It is because black men are allowing it, because black men have failed to stop that from happening. Because you and me both know you can't just go subjugate other groups of women, because their men are not going to allow you to do it. So the woman's social position is dependent on the men's social position. And because of black men's social position, we're black women. So by default, we go to the social positioning of black men unless the dominant male group decides to elevate the social positioning of the women. And that's just the reality of how it works. You're muted. I think you're muted.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I was muted. Like when I was living in El Paso, and thanks for the super chat, Tyrone. When I was living in El Paso, Texas, you know what I'm saying? We used to go club, we used to go party and shit. Me and my boys on the weekend. Long story short is even the most overweight, ghetto, loudmouth Mexican chick had protection from the Mexican dudes. I mean, I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
Now they can cuss her out, they can talk to her any kind of way, but let a Negro try to disrespect her. They was throwing down that Mexican flag right there on the ground, and they was cutting everything moving. That's just how I was. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna be 100. So at the end of the day, even if they didn't want to sleep with her, it's like, nah, nigga, you ain't gonna disrespect her. Why? Because you're a Negro. Now they were less reluctant to do that with those white boys because they know the FBI and Border Patrol be out through them neighborhoods. But when it comes to the Negroes, nah. You know what I'm saying? I had a gun put to my head in El Paso just over jealousy and hate because their women was choosing, but the men still ain't allowed. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, motherfuckers love to bring up other races of men, but don't never want to do what they do. You know what I'm saying? They just want to bring them up when it's convenient. And it's like, dog, if you're gonna bring up other races of men, you got to bring them up in totality. Don't just bring them up when they fit your narrative. You dig what I'm saying? Don't just bring them up when you want to be on this anti-black female fucking tirade. It's like, nah, manhood is manhood, dog. Period. You're not gonna go up into a Mexican neighborhood and fuck around with their nieces, their daughters, their granddaughters, and think it's not gonna be no smoke. Ain't gonna happen. But anyway, we got some more super chats. Let me
Yeah, we do, because your Dusty friend, he has a lot to say, apparently.
it says okay, thanks for the super chat, Truth. Why do black men want to separate themselves from black women? Can he answer that question? All right, that's for me. I could have sworn I just answered it. But to make it short again, I think the guys that want complete separation from black women is because there's some bitterness there. Let's not play this game. There's still some bitterness there. They wanna separate themselves from black women. One, they either had a very traumatic experience with a black woman, i.e. divorce. Um, they still ball and chain with these women through child support. Maybe a black woman has given him a hard time with the kids or whatever. It's something there that's making him angry. And because black women are low hanging fruit, because they are low hanging fruit, and it's just easier to use them as a punching bag because it's not really black women per se that's creating the problems. It's the system that's backing them up. Black women ain't got no power per se, you know what I mean? But when it's a great system that's backing y'all up, along with white women and all these other women, eventually you're gonna have to face the system. And that's just something, to be honest, niggas really ain't trying to do because that caused work. So in the meantime, we can talk about black women wearing bonnets to Walmart, and that makes us feel better. We talk about black women wearing slippers and pajama pants to the Piggly Wiggly, and that makes us feel better in the meantime because at the end of the day, niggas are scared of bread. So let's go on to the next question. That is the best way I can answer that. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Um,
I just do have the problem with you saying low hanging fruit. I don't think that he means low hanging fruit in the way that you're taking it. I think he means more like they're easy prey. There isn't.
yeah, from an advocacy standpoint.
Yeah, there's no consequences for black men going after black women. So because we're not protected, and so I think that's what he means by low hanging fruit.
Yeah. I meant from an advocacy standpoint, like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all not gonna have as much protection as another group of women. Okay, thanks for the $10 super chat, incog spectator. Excuse me, I wasn't specific. White women created feminism to combat abuse by white men, shaking my head. Yet somehow it is in the black community. I wasn't alive, right, Boogie, and yet it's a modern day issue. Well, let me be more specific. Like when I say like feminism, and usually when y'all talk about feminism, y'all talking about the advent of government support, i.e., food stamps and housing and Section 8 and shit like that. That's usually what they mean by feminism, because feminism go back to the temperance movement when white men were really getting drunk all day, beating the shit out of white women. This is not my opinion. This is facts. So y'all talking about the advent of government subsidies. So, if you want to go there, then I would once again, yes, it's in our community, but who were the most poor people in the country at that time? I mean, so poor that Dr. King had to rally and try to put together a poor people's march. Like black folk were living under poverty. So, me personally, I'm not a woman, dog, but I would assume if I was a woman and my children were starving, what do you think I'm gonna take? I'm gonna take the food stamps. I'm gonna take the housing. You know what I mean? Straight up. It's easy for a man to say, I ain't gonna do this, I ain't gonna do that. Well, men, we can sleep under a bridge for a couple days and have a nasty ass and be Gucci. Ain't no woman gonna do that shit with her, especially with her kids, man. You
Right.
dig what I'm saying? So we wasn't alive back then to understand what were the options placed in front of black women at that time. What were the actual options? And I wasn't there to know, but I understand when it comes to women and her kids, she's gonna pick the best decision for the kids every time. That's 100%. And matter of fact, if a woman don't pick what's best for the kids, she's derelict in her mommy duties.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So get out of your feelings. I'm not saying this, you know, um, specifically to you, spectator. But what I'm saying is, y'all claim y'all know everything it is about red pill, da 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 da, and all this other kind of shit. But if you know anything about red pill, you understand women going to do what's best for them and their kids first, straight up and down. And it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? That's not even a debate. You know what I'm saying? It's not
But
even a
how is, because they keep throwing away this feminist word, and it's like, how is feminism manifesting in the black community? I would like him to give an example of feminism in the black community as a modern day issue, because like I want to know what they're like, how.
well, because I can't keep my boot on your neck. Because I can't keep my boot on your neck without you bucking back now. You know what I'm saying? Straight up.
But even the put on the neck, how from men who don't have any social power? Because it's like, even if they, because I know you, and I think you're right when you said that they look at feminism as like welfare and government resources. Okay, so you would either present an alternative to whatever the government is providing to your women if you feel like government issue, if government assist, basically if government assistance is creating this counterproductive feminism mentality that you feel like is presenting itself as a modern day issue in the black community, then why don't you provide an alternative to those government assistance, offer them to your women, and then there goes your feminism issue? Because it's like that, logically, that's just what you would do. Create an alternative.
What feminism did ultimately to me, um, it kind of messed up the dating market in the sense of anytime you got women on the same playing field as men economically, there are going to be a lot of men that's left out of the dating market, opposed to 80 years ago, that if a man just had a good job, if he was stable, if he made good money and had some resources, he can still get on with a decent woman. But now it's actually making men compete a lot harder. It's locking some men out totally. You did, to the point where they got to be lifelong tricks. So to me, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I can't. I don't even have a fucking solution for it. It's not like you're going to take women rights away and shit. So it's like, what you going to do? You know what I mean? But yeah, that's, to me, in my biggest opinion, ultimately, that's what it did. It made women be on the equal playing field economically as men, and it left a lot of men out here useless with really no purpose. Because really, as men, we a lot more confident when we got purpose that we can take care of our families financially, and we can come home with the groceries, and you know what I'm saying. You know what I mean. She like, yeah, thank you, baby. You got a smile on your face like you did something good, but you know what I'm saying? If you can't really do that, then you got to find other ways to be important in the eyes of your family, in the eyes of your woman. You know what I mean? So it's putting a lot of pressure on some men. So for some dudes, they can just fall back like, well, my lady's sexually attracted to me. But for some guys, what are they going to fall back on if they can't provide? So it's a frustration. And I get it, man. I'm not going to sit here and, downplay it or belittle it. But what I'm saying is, at the end of the day, you got to find women that's suitable for you. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the kind of woman that you're looking for, is just the complete, opposite of what you need. So it's time for a lot of dudes to start putting this shit in perspective too. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with women that's suitable for you, dog. I got another super chat. My counselor says, I hope that AC is
He
nice.
wants to get roasted again. He came to my channel with this little less than $5 broke dusty logic and got roasted by me and my sisters. And he clearly, a lot of these men are masochists. They really are. They are gluttoning for punishment or something. Like, why are you like just dusty anyway?
Yeah, one more time from the spectator. Appreciate the super chat, spectator. It says, I understand, Boogie, but what you say about black women being willing to accept the stamps, etc., is the system. And when you say why the black father is missing, they were accepting that system in place of a father. Look, 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 look. I just want to put an end to this
Dusting
argument.
logic.
I want to put an end to that argument right there. You know what I'm saying? Because look, at the end of the day, I can't foresee a woman telling her man, like literally, get out the house because I want food stamps over you. You know what I'm saying? Now, there might have been some things going on, like if the man couldn't find work, if he was lazy, if he was, on drugs, whatever the case is, then yeah, she probably was like, nigga, you gotta go. But my experiences with women, even through the feminism age right now, if I'm capable, if I can at least halfway do what I gotta do, and if that woman really believed and loved me, she's not gonna ask me to leave. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna figure it out. Now, if I prove myself incapable, then yeah, she'll be like, all right, nigga, you gotta go. So, you know what I'm saying? That's just the way I look at it, man. It's like, dog, if you got any experiences with women, if you got any reference point in your mind on how women operate with guys that they really, like, guys that they really love, then women, they're gonna hold on, man. They're gonna hold on for real. Especially to a guy that they really care about, man. It's just my personal experience though. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying all of them, but trust and believe. I know women that I've got third, fourth, fifth, and sixth strikes. And getting fucked up the seventh strike. Okay. Thanks for the follow, super chat, Faith.
Can I say something about this welfare? Because listen, this out of the home rule ended in 1968 because a black woman got it appealed. This was literally like a 4-year policy that you have black men using in 2020. Okay. That's number one. Number two, the criteria for welfare was that the man had already had a continual absence before she even applied for welfare. So this was a compensatory system and still is. If the man is not able to provide for his family and he's chose to be continually absent, then the woman can come and say, hey, I can't afford to take care of my kid. This dude is a dusty, he left, he's not around, I need to get welfare. So nobody came around and said, black women, take this welfare and get rid of your provider man. That's not what happened. No woman in general, regardless to race, is going to take government assistance over a provider. It's just not going to happen. That's just the bottom line. And let's say hypothetically in the 1960s, this man out of the home rule was thriving all through the 1960s. What about the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s? What took black men out of the home at that point? Because that man out of the homeroom, regardless of what you say, the Supreme Court case data says that ended in 1968 because of a black woman contesting it. So we'll give you towards 1970. What about 80, 90, 2000? 70, 80, 90, then 2000. What took the black man out of the home? Because he's still out of the home. And what's taking him out of the white women's home too? And the Asian women and the
Or you
non-black
had to go there.
women. Who's taking him out of the home?
Spoken like a true big witch.
No, we have to, because it's like, how long are you going to blame food stamps on absentee fathers? I mean, like, come on now. This doesn't even make any sense. Like, what the hell? I'm so tired of hearing it.
Nah. No doubt.
So you're not tired of hearing it. You know you tired of hearing it.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't even have these kind of conversations no more, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? I'm really, having an exception because you're here. And I know people just want to challenge you, but just on the humble, like on my channel, we talking about something completely different. Because this shit.
We're on your channel now.
No, I'm just saying, like any other day, because this is your expertise. This is what you do. I'm talking about something totally different. Like, yo, I'm tired of these arguments, man, between, just trying to figure out who destroyed the black community. And it's like, look, we are where we are. Sit down, drink some fucking water, and shut the fuck up and do your shahada, for real. Like, motherfuckers trying to figure that shit out all the fucking time and shit, man. I ain't got time for that shit no more, man. Like, yo, we are where we are. What you gonna do about it? You don't want to deal with black women? Just leave them alone. It's not like it's a bunch of black women marching behind you niggas saying, oh, please, motherfucking choose me. It's like, nah, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to, just leave them alone. You literally got that option. But to sit back and always turning around trying to figure out what they doing, how they doing it, it's black men that support black men dating out but hate swirlers. I'm like, the hypocrisy in you niggas are just crazy. So
It
I'm
really
tired of it all. I'm tired of the niggas. I'm tired of the women. I'm like, if y'all can't come together and figure out this shit, then I just want to be away from all y'all, because all y'all motherfuckers give me a goddamn headache. Nobody wants a solution to anything. Half the people don't even want to fix their personal life. You dig what I'm saying? Motherfuckers always looking for a scapegoat on why shit is the way it is. And it's like, dog, whether we like it or not, whether we want to hear it or not, the burden always gonna be on the men.
mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. It's the truth. The burden always gonna be on the men. No, go ahead.
I would want to say this, because if black men believe that black women are a problem and that other races of women are a better option, then why don't you just go to other men's community, take their women out of it, and build your own community? Why don't you just do that? Oh yeah, those men ain't gonna let you.
Well, that's one reason, because not in large numbers, no, not in large numbers, and then two, um, they still, a lot of dudes, not all of them, but enough of them, they still going to be craving for the validation of a Cynthia J. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if a lot of dudes was just happy living their life with other races of women, they wouldn't be checking up on seeing what Cynthia G doing. They wouldn't be trolling your channel. They wouldn't be calling up asking dumb questions. They'll just be happy living their life. They wouldn't be worried about what the swirlers are doing. They wouldn't no. They would just be happy doing whatever it is they do. So it tells me it's something else into play here. It's something else into play. And the thing that's most concerning to me is this, though, is I've even heard black men in certain black sectors of YouTube get shamed for being married to black women, having black families, and advocating for black families. And at the end of the day, man, this is when I knew it was a sickness, dog. I'm like, some of these guys don't went batshit crazy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all sit there and talk about how black America is fucked up because the black family is fucked up. But anytime a black man come around and say, I love my wife, I'm happy with my wife, woo, 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 but she just happened to be black, as if that's some kind of strike against her, it's a problem. So I'm starting to see a lot of dudes just don't like black women and shit. And when they say black community, they mean black women. I mean, thanks for the super chat, Chris. Salute, bro. Shout out.
Yeah, it's because they believe that white people are better and white women are better. And it's funny because they believe white women are better, but yet they don't give white women a better black men. So why are white women, if they're better, why are they getting the same black man that black women are getting? Why are they getting the same outcome from black men that black women are getting? And so this is why I say, it's a group of men to where all corners of reality says that you need to look at yourself and make some modification, but they're extremely resistant to do that. They don't want to make the modifications that needs to be made, because a lot of the issues that they complain about in black women would go away if they changed as men, and they should want to change as men. And how are you in this situation to where you got to troll black women's YouTube channels, you got to sit up here, cry and complain about black women's dating decisions, but you haven't once thought about the issue might be you? Because if you had options in other races of women like you say that you are, then you would just be select. There are no non-select black men if you have options in other races of women like you say that you do. If they really love you and desire you the way that you say that you do, then none of y'all are non-select. You can just go get you whatever race of woman that you want and thrive and be happy. Yet there's this white woman magic, but her magic can do everything except keep you out of black women's faces, keep black women off your mind, keep you from trolling black women and talking about our dating decisions. So what's really going on? The reality is these women don't desire you as mates. They desire you as dick on legs. That is what they want. It is what it is. And people just happen to get pregnant when they have sex. That's too. So.
And white men want you as a bed wench. But at the end of the day,
hey, so look, I got no dog in the fight, so that could be said. I ain't got no dog in the fight.
nah. But we. So here's what we're gonna do, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna wrap this up, and I want to thank Cynthia G for even coming on and giving me some of your time. I think this live stream actually went excellent. So hopefully we'll do it again in the future. And you know, shout out to all Cynthia G subscribers for coming over.
Can we address this last question that says if black women got pregnant by their husbands, that would make sense? Okay, but that would change what? They got pregnant by their husbands. What changes in the black community except for the rate of children born in wedlock? Like, what does that do? You say that to say what? Because a lot of people bring up this marriage thing. I'm trying to figure out what this actually does.
Well, I don't even want to start because that's a whole nother 30 minutes. I think what you're saying is, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if a dude is derelict, it wouldn't matter if they married or not.
Right.
Okay. And I would agree. You know what I'm saying? But I think that conversation got to be ironed out, and we just ain't got the time. Thanks for the super chat, spectator. It says then perhaps the truth that you don't want to hear. You're single black mothers because even after seeing all what happens to black women who choose wrong, you still foolishly make the same mistakes. Okay. I mean,
right, because men control marriage anyway. So again, this would just be a failure on, again, and he's ugly. So you can only come with ugly logic. Men control marriage. So why are these men creating children with women and then not marrying them? Like, why are they doing that? So you see how he's trying to weasel out of black men needing to change as a group of men, and there's no way to do that. Women don't control marriage.
Hey, can we
even if a woman marries her, he's not gonna marry her.
We're gonna close out the show, Cynthia. And like I was saying before,
discussion on marriage.
Next time.
Yeah, next time let's have a discussion on marriage.
Maybe next week or something. But like I was saying, I want to thank you for coming over. Shout out to all Cynthia G subscribers. Y'all did good. Y'all been on your best behavior. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was a good mesh between my crowd and yours. You dig? Shout out to all the super chat. Shout out to all the questions. You dig? Um, Shout out to the bed wenches. Y'all was in here heavy today, and you know we we gonna keep y'all in our prayers because the bed wench energy was real strong today.
You still haven't. Can you end by telling us what a bed winch look like? Because you still didn't say what a bed winch looks like.
I just told you a bed wench. I don't think it's a particular look. I just think it's a particular energy when she get around a white man. It's a particular energy, and a black man will never be able to feel that because we don't possess that power, that pixie dust that the white man got. So when he come around certain black women, she just get ultra feminine. The bonnet pop right off her head. Poof. The pajama pants come right off. You know what I'm saying? She just enamored with that white man, that white skin he got, and you know what I'm saying?
And you think that's the energy that I would have on me? That's what you think that's an energy that I
No, no,
carry?
no, 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 no. No, you coming through different. See, what the white man want from you, they want that strong, dominant woman that's gonna spank him in the ass with a paddle. See, the white man want to be domed out by you in particular. You know what I'm saying? And you can tell them that they are kind of, space monkeys and all that other type of shit. That you know what I'm saying? That's what they want from you. So your energy gonna cut a little different to them and shit. You know what I mean? They want that. Um, you know what I mean? Spicy shit that you gonna possess. You know what I'm saying? And they get off on that shit. You dig it? And the thing is, you ain't even got to fuck the average white dude. I mean, he'll pay you just for conversation and shit, so you can talk aggressive to him. And that's how they really getting down. Like a lot of these sisters ain't really got to sleep with white men to get money out of.
No, they don't.
That's just the hustle. That's just the hustle that they running. A lot of white men like that snap about black women. It just is what it is. Now, what the white man does is when he's done with you, he gonna leave you alone. So we gotta keep dealing with the snap. But a lot of white men love that shit, man. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is.
I can tell you I've gotten money out of plenty white men and have never even kissed one of them, let alone had sex with them.
Hold on. Somebody says Sinji will be a good dom. Let me.
I don't have any interest in dominating a man though, so I wouldn't make a good dom because that's not in my sexual personality. So
I beg to differ. You did. I beg to differ. But that's another story for another day. Y'all gotta watch your mouth in this chat room. You know what I mean? Like I know where y'all at for real. I beg to differ. I think Cynthia G is cool being Cynthia G. But we not gonna make her no dime. We not gonna make her no. Sinji can be whoever she want to be on her channel. She come over here. She know what's up. But thank you for your time. You dig. You've been gracious and shit. And if you want to tell people your channel, you dig. I know you're doing something with your sisters now, aren't you?
Cynthia G. It is. It's
Shout
Cynthia
out,
G.
shout out, like the channel you're doing with your sisters.
Huh?
I said, shout out the channel that you're doing with your sisters.
Oh, it's Sister Talk. But I would have to throw the link in there because there's apparently a lot of Sister Talks on YouTube. So I'll have to drop the link in there. But yeah, that is my sister channel, and we'll be on there tomorrow. We have another discussion coming up. But yeah,
and you know what? Next time I want you and at least one or two of your sisters to come on too. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I'll bring another dude on here to try to balance it out, and we have some real conversation and shit. We can have sister and brother talk, whatever the fuck we want to call it. But
and absolutely, if you want to come on, because we're always looking for a male perspective. And so if at any time you want to come on one of ours, you can absolutely do it too. You're welcome. But yeah, I can do that next time and try to get another sister to come on here. I'm putting the Sister Talk channel thing in there. If you click on that, that'll take you to the channel. But definitely we'll have to do it again. I had fun. It was nice actually.
hey man, I think you did a good job. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna give a round of applause to you.
I don't need a round of applause. I don't
gave it to you anyway. But I gave it to you anyway. You know what I'm saying? I gave it to you anyway. But shout out to you and yours, man. And you enjoy the rest of your day. And once again, I want to thank you for even blessing me with your time. Real talk.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you too. And thanks for everybody who super chatted and for, for the people who maintained respect. Thank you for that as well.
Shout out to the bed wenches, man. I'm out.
And the bed bugs.